So to talk about the adoption of a module, in D6 it was very few users, only big users like Radio France, but few users. We've analyzed the reasons why. So it wrote at that time its own version of Entity in Drupal 6. The UX design was really bad. We did not do a lot of community work, which is one reason it wasn't adopted. You had to be an expert to install it. It was you could not understand easily how to install it in Drupal 6. And yeah, maybe its name, it's an old historic heritage in English. We discovered that it named Perl, so it's not very incentive for a module. You can see the quality of the UI in D6. It was made by developers for developers. All the plus were just coded in PHP filter. It was very bad. And then in D7 we decided to rewrite it and to redesign the UX with some UX designer and to rewrite it based upon the Entity API. And we did a lot of community work, documentation, communication, and issue queues also. So to talk about the adoption, now some big people and big players are using it, mainly medias, because they have to have nice media management. So you see all of these televisions, the radios, the newspapers. Le Figaro is the biggest newspaper in France. Also institutions. We discovered recently that the NASA is using it, so it's pleased us. And also some big editors and integrators like Commerce Guys, Smile, Tieto, and Conenigma. And maybe you, because I discovered some of you are using Scam, which I'm very happy. So you can see some user testimonials here from all around the world. We won some award last year for the best back office innovation, competing with 20 other CMSs. You can see the install numbers. They have grown so much. Now we are over 1,000 installs. So let's be happy and do the cartoon dance. To give you some examples of sites made with Scam, you have the Drupal Commerce Marketplace from Commerce Guys. You have this TV site from Arte, which is really nice and plays with videos from creative people around the world. Flat design and responsive. And to stay in the actuality, the site of the Festival de Cannes from Le Figaro is made also with Scam. So let's keep to the basics. What is Scam? Its goal is to be universal media asset management on Drupal. And when we talk about universal, we mean images, videos, sounds, that's the basics. But also PDS, but also tweets. We consider them as assets, media assets. Slide shares, galleries, blogs, views, products, anything. The main objective is to be able to use and also reuse these assets, and we want the UIs to be clean and simple, so we implemented drag and drop and use standard Drupal objects. And there's a unique UI for search and share and drag and drop. You can tell me it's a bit of deja vu. It's like the media module. But the approach is very different because the media module is based upon file entity, which means every file is a media and every media is a file. So if you're okay with that, media is good, but in advanced case and other cases like tweets or Facebook videos, you cannot consider that a media is a file, or when you have a big site and everyone uploads files, you cannot also consider that every file is a media. That should be reusable. So we have different approaches that cannot be solved together. We're trying to do that in D8, but in D7 it's not possible. So what is a media atom, which is the base concept of Scam? Media atom is a single digital asset. It is typed, so there are atoms of typed image, atoms of typed audio and video. It has a provider. For example, for the video types, you have many providers. You have a YouTube provider, you have a file provider, you have a Vine provider, and for one video atom. Every media has a thumbnail. It's important for lists and media management. It has offer and tags, which are built-in taxonomies, so you can do what you want with views. It's an entity, so it's fieldable. It's very important to remember that any atom type can be fieldable. And it also has its own CRUD system, so it's very scalable. And it also has its cache system, so you can do very big sites using some specific cache system for media. One of the other main concepts of Scald is the media library. It's a unique UI to search, create, and use and reuse media atoms. The good news is that it's a view, so you have a default one, but you can customize it to your own needs. And that comes to the first demo, and I will show you how to display search and add media on that. Does it work? Does it work? Yeah. So you see an article editing on simplytest.me. This is what we call the media library. You have all your media in a single view. So you can view the media, you can search them with this UI. You see the tags, you see the offers, you can filter about anything you want, because these are exposed filters of view, so you can extend them. And you see all with Ajax and very, very smooth. And you can also add media from this library. So if you close the search bar, you can see all the media types you have there. And for example, you want to add a video, you choose between your providers. So I will show you later how video works. And you can also do that for, I guess, an image of that demo. And then you see the PL upload thing, which you can drag and drop many files for creating many atoms at one time. But this is the simple case. You upload your file, then you get the thumbnail, you get your CRUD system, and then your library is updated. So you never leave the node edit or the entity edit or create form you run. You will always work in one window. That was the main goal, and which is now a standard in web management. So after using the library, one other concept is atom reference, because you have all these atoms, and now you want to use them in nodes or commerce products, which are entities, or any entities you want with a WYSIWYG or field. So the basic field is atom reference. It's a simple field where you can drag and drop your atoms. So it's the same as node reference, user reference, entity reference, product reference, any reference. But with atoms, you can reference different types of atom. You can also restrict a type. So let's say you want to make a video wall, you create atom reference field, and then you restrict with only videos, and then you can just drag and drop your videos. And if you drag and drop an image, you will not be allowed. And the simple example of that is a video wall or a multimedia gallery. So let's do this on Commerce Kickstart, which is the Drupal commerce distribution. So this is a basic Commerce Kickstart install with the blog post content type. So you have we've added the atom reference field, which is really simple. We called it video wall. I've told you about the filter on the video on the atom types, and then you are set. It's as simple as that, adding a field. And if you go to a blog post, like this one, and you edit it, you have your library showing up. So you can see it's a reference field, which is multiple in our case. And then you can only drag and drop the video, and you add a new one. You can reorder them by drag and dropping, just like any multiple field in Drupal. So this is the drag and drop reordering, and then you save your node, and you're done. You have your video wall. So this is not style. You only have to add a few CSS to do that, but it works out of the box. If you have any question, don't hesitate. After that, we have WithU Integration, which is really the cool stuff for editors. So it allows you to embed any media atom into any text area in Drupal. It works with the main RTOs we all know, but it works better with CK Editor, which is a good thing because CK Editor was chosen as the default WithU editor in Drupal 8. So we focused our R&D and our effort in development on CK Editor. So I really recommend you to use CK Editor because it has some extra stuff for Scald. So let's see how it works with a basic CK Editor. So you go to a page. This is a basic page with some WYSIWYG. And then you have all your images. So this is a kind of, this site is already in production. And if you want to embed an image, you just go to your WYSIWYG area, you open your library, you find the right image, and you just drag and drop it this way. And you can see it as a default legend for an image. And it's really as simple as that. And you can drag and drop. This is a PDF. So you can also drag and drop a PDF. And if you add a video, you can do the same, and a tweet, and so on. So to talk about provider, this is really the strength for Scald, because if you have a media module but you don't have any provider, no one will use it. So we really worked, and the community really worked on developing as many providers as we can and as useful. So there is a page where you can see all providers, which is updated. The existing ones are very, very numerous. You can see videos. I don't know. Yeah, there is Vine for like a few weeks. You can see the sounds, which you have audio file, a basic MP3 file, but you can also use SoundCloud. Images, you have Twitter, Facebook statuses. You can also drag and drop Drupal commerce products into blog posts, which can be useful. You can use blocks. So you can drag and drop blocks into a node, into a text area. You can drag and drop views. This one is a sandbox, but it works. You can drag and drop into panels, into panes. You can use file feed sources to be a provider. And you can drag and drop galleries. You can make galleries with Scalday, and you can drag and drop them into another content. Data wrapper, which allows you to embed any kind of media, slide shares and files and so on. The good thing is that the API of Scalday is very simple and very well documented, so it's easy to work with if you're a developer. You can try to get an example on these providers and build your own provider. Last one was Scaldevine, and it took someone who did not know Scalday, who was a Drupal developer. It took him half a day to write a proper provider. So it's really, really simple. There are only a few steps, so you can really write your own. and to see what on the video providers, for example, YouTube you can import from an URL, also on Vimeo. Dailymotion is the same thing, but you also have a cron job to import videos that are relative to a keyword or a channel, which is nice when you, for example, a radio station and all your videos are going to Dailymotion and you want to automatically get your videos into the library. So you run this cron every day and you get all your videos into the library. And it can be done for keywords. If you have a website talking about windsurfing, you tap windsurf, and then every day you get all new video on Dailymotion talking about windsurf. You have embed.ly, which can be used to embed many things from Google Maps to Prezi and to other exotic video providers. You have Vine, you have Kit Digital, a professional provider, you have Brightcove, you have Dailymotion Cloud, Vidler, and you also can upload a video file to use your own JS player or JW player. So if you want to play with Scald, I recommend to use the Scalded Galaxy distribution, which you can test on simplytest.me, and in a few minutes you will be able to use it and try it on live instance. So I will talk about the advanced integration on CK Editor. We will see context change, the legend, the alignment change, the linking, and the cut and paste into the text area. So this is a new node. It was a demo for Drupal Compile. For example, context change. You drag and drop an image, and by default it has some dimensions which are handled by image style. And then you can change your image style just by right-clicking and changing the context. And you can predefine like 3 or 4 image sizes to fit your editor's need. Then the legend. By default you can theme your legend, but the editor can also modify its own legend. There is also the alignment thing. If you are happy with a default left alignment, you can keep it, but then you can also decide you want to center it. So it's as simple as that. You can also link atoms on that to use an opening link. And the last thing that you can cut and paste atom into your text area. It did not work before that, and it was a big limitation. So now it's working on the last versions of Scald, and it's a really useful feature.
Does this work with Colorbox when you link the image to Colorbox? So
to Colorbox?
Colorbox.
What is Colorbox? I'm sorry.
It's a model gallery.
Oh. Okay. No, this is a C2 model. You mean the window opening in the CK editor?
No. I think when you view the content,
yeah.
If you click on the image and it opens bigger in the model zoom.
Okay, yeah. It does not work right now, but it is implemented. These features are implemented as a CK editor plugin. So I guess it won't be very difficult to link this CK editor plugin to open a new Colorbox module. Yeah. It's just a CK editor plugin, so you can customize it to your needs and write your own. And sorry, yeah. And the last features that I wanted to talk about is the kind of magical feature. Maybe it's a bit pretentious, but it's very nice. We've worked a lot with the edit module Does anyone know the edit module in Drupal 7, which allows you to edit content in place? When you want to edit content in Drupal, you have to go to the content and see this edit tab and click on it. With the edit module, you can just be on the page and edit one field or just edit the page. And so we've worked a lot for Scald to be compatible with this edit module and with the UX design of it. And we've worked also on some nice features like PL upload. You've seen you can add one image, but you can also drag and drop 10 images, pre-fill the offer and tags, and then all your 10 atoms are created at once. And it works also with picture.js, so the media assets you are dropping, especially images, they can be very quickly compatible with a responsive design site. So I will show you that in the last video. So this is a Scaledback Galaxy with edit. And you can see that it's really quick to edit. You stay on the same page, you don't have to reload the page, and then you're done and your node is saved. So it's really nice. Then you can see the PL upload feed. So you want to create 8 images like this. Just drag and drop them. You say they all have the same offers. They all have the same tags because it's the images you want to use for the same article. And then on the second step, you will see all your 10 images pre-filled with that offer and tags. So you can change if you want one tag or one thumbnail or one read or edit right for. And then you're done, you have all your images. And the last thing is the picture model. So this node was edited with, and this instance was configured with the picture model. And you can see with image styles and the picture.js, you just have your responsive site out of the box, almost out of the box. You have to do some 2 or 3 configurations. But for site builders, it's really easy. So I guess I'm in time, so I'm really happy. I have a few more slides. So if you want to start with Scald, you have all these links. So I will upload my slides to SlideShare, so you will be able to download this presentation. You have a core module. You have a list of providers. You can use this installation profile that I've told you about, which is Scald Galaxy and is always updated with the latest features. You have documentation, and you also have screencast, also with a French accent, so be prepared that you can find them. And as for the roadmap, we are always looking for more and more providers, so you can contribute. As I said before, it's really easy, and you will see that in one day or half a day you will deliver a sandbox with a really nice provider. So if one of your favorite media provider is missing, don't hesitate. We have regular code sprints at OWS about Scald, and with also other users from the world and from companies. So if you want to opt in and participate in code sprints, you can leave me a message and I will get you in the next one. We try to maintain the issue queue because we have more and more users, so we find more and more issues, so we are really active and proactive on that. And I guess in the next 10 days there's going to be a 1.2 release because it's been months since the 1.1 release, which is now not compatible with advanced features. So right now I recommend you use the dev version, but in a few days it won't be the case. You will have to use the 1.2, which will reflect all the new changes. There's going to be a new logo. You can see the discussion going on in the YouTube. There are going to be some UI and UX improvements, including a media center, because what is lacking right now is a media center, which is a page where you will basically be able to see all your media outside from the library. You know, you won't have to edit a node, or right now there is a page dedicated to that, but its design is really, really poor. So we want to improve that and have a really media center in Drupal to see all your atoms. And we started to work on the Drupal 8. There is a strong project going on right now, which is media entity, because we've had many discussions with the people from every media solution in Drupal 7, which includes media, Scald, asset, and media box. And some of us decided to go with media entity, not to port media or not to port Scald or not to port anything, but to build some strong media entity which will hold every media properties in Drupal 8, and that will allow other solutions like Scald, like media, file entity or whatever, to build its module upon that, and with module that will handle the UX, module that will handle some strong use cases. So it will be just like commerce. You have all this commerce core, and then you have all this ecosystem of modules for building features, and you will have some distributions on that. So right now, great people are working on that. I think they even got a sprint here like 1 hour ago. Ainam who is over there, the last one in the room, is working on media entity, and we want media entity to be a solid base of media management in Drupal, because right now Drupal 8 lacks media management. It's the same in 7, so let's not make this error again and have a strong media management solution in Drupal. So if you want to participate in media entity, if you're kind of hardcore developer, or you want to participate for the UX or the concept, sprints are regularly held during the Drupal camps. There is weekly meetings that you can attend. Everything is detailed on groups.drupal.org/media, the media group. And you can see the discussions going on and the effort that is being made right now. Yanez, I think some of you know Yanez. He works on media entity, and I think they will be ready when day 8 is ready. And yes, world domination also. As I said before, it's a really strong community. Scald users are very enthusiastic. Every time I do this presentation, this time is the smallest number, but every time someone comes and say, "Oh, thank you, I've discovered this module and now we're going to use it in our next project," and they build big projects on that. And so I'm very happy to do this session, because if you didn't know this module, even if there are 2 people in this room that after that want to build something upon that, it will grow exponentially. So it's really open to contributors, nice maintainers and nice people working around the maintainers from all around the world. It started in France and in the US. There's twice US, sorry for that. Germany, Spain, Slovenia, Denmark, many European, because American people are most like media guys. It's Acquia, it's Palantir, all about, and they all like media. So we're not very developed into the US, but I guess it's for historical reason. There's an active and reactive issue queue, so you can drop bugs, you can fix bugs, you can contribute patches, and you can give us your user feedback, because every time now is the time when we discover that someone uses Scald and we didn't know about, like the NASA. It was like a crazy news. Yesterday, some people talked in Ireland of Scald, another day in Spain, and now we are at this point. So don't hesitate to contact us to give us your user feedback, your use cases, and say, okay, I've made this site with Scald. This works. This doesn't work. This is a success. This is awful. So we will be able to share this knowledge and to make it better. and so maybe you in the community. And now it's time for questions. 35 minutes, yeah. There always has to be a cat in a nice Drupal doc. Otherwise, you're cursed. Yes?
If I use this module and I put some pictures in custom fields, in CK editor, etc., and I remove it, everything is okay. Pictures are in place, or without this module, that doesn't.
No, because when you drag and drop an image or media into a WithU field, you do not drag and drop an image, you drag and drop custom code, which is parsed when you render the field. And this is very important because it protects from cross-site forgery or stuff like that. You cannot simply put an iframe or JS code into a media. Everything is filtered and everything is controlled. And the best thing is that everything is cached. So when the field is rendered, it uses a cache system, and then you don't have to render it again and again and again. So if you use Scald, you drag and drop many media into your nodes, and then you disable Scald, and then you will only have this code with the Scald ID and which is HTML, but that will not be parsed, and then yeah. Yes, if you that's why you should give it a try before on sandboxes and with this simply test.me thing. It's an architectural decision. But I guess it's the same for media. If you have a chosen media and then you build your site with media, then you're stuck with the file entity approach, and you cannot just remove file entity.
Thank you.
Can I use this module to take the print screen and save it?
You mean by drag and dropping your print screen, like
Not
in
just to take print screen and yes, and
like
somehow and paste it in the Scala.
When you do the print screen, it goes to the clipboard, and when you're editing the article, he would like to just paste
I think that you can write a provider, for example, an image provider, that at first step, when you say create an image, you choose a provider, and then you will choose print screen, and then you will have to make use some JS library that will allow you to get back the content of your clipboard and create the JSON. But yes, it won't be difficult. Because, for example, if you use Redmine, I don't know if some of you use Redmine, you have this Redmine plugin where you can print screen and just get it from your clipboard. So I think it won't be difficult to get this plugin and bring it back to Scald into a provider. That would be an image provider, and you would only need to do this JS, or I don't know how it works. I'm not very good into clipboard.
Sorry, what is the name of this plugin you said?
Redmine, REDMINE. It's a project management experience. It's like do you know Jira or yeah. And but it's really nice for Q&A, for task managing, for it's a project management tool.
Okay, I understand. Thanks.
Any more questions?
Yeah. I mean, what is about the Twitter integration? How does that work? For example, can I connect to my Twitter account and list just the last tweet that I posted on my Twitter?
Right now, it's very simple, but it does the job. In fact, you have to get the URL of a tweet. So you just like you do on YouTube, you get the URL from a tweet, you copy it, you create your tweet from the library, and then the module asks the Twitter API to get the metadata from the tweet. And the thumbnail and from the tweet will be the user picture on Twitter. But I think there are sandboxes about Twitter feeds where you can use a user to get to make it an atom, and then to use a JS in the WithU to show its last tweet. In that case, the last tweet won't be imported. It's the user feed that will be an atom. But it has to be a provider. Right now, the Twitter provider is the atom of type tweet. But if you, for example, if you want to improve it, you can say that basically you enter the URL and you get the tweet. But on some other providers like Instagram, the provider is it has two options. You can copy and paste a URL and get the image, but you can also search on Instagram the thing you want. So the next step is when you create your atom, you have this search engine which is getting information back from the Instagram API. Then you choose your image and then it's imported. So we can imagine to do the same for Twitter and search the tweets from a user and then import it. It's not difficult because there are already like 5 modules that do that. So you have all the code for the different steps, and all you have to do is read the API documentation of your provider and do that stuff. And if you want to talk about that, Cedric is the maintainer of Scaled Twitter. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, is it possible to link back to the main node, the image, automatically?
To link back to you mean
when you display a teaser, let's say, you display a teaser of a content type, and you display one field, which is an atom reference.
Okay.
And it contains one atom, which is an image.
Okay.
So that image, can it be linked to the main content?
Which is the node? The main content?
The node that contains the reference to
yeah.
the atom.
There is a module which is called Scaledback Reference. It's on the module list on Scaled, which allows you to, for any atom, to find any content that references it. So that's your question.
So if an image, for example,
is included into
is referenced by two contents.
Yeah, you can. Basically, I think that this module does only do the job of querying the database to get the entity IDs, and then I don't know if it has a view handler, but then you have to write your own code to know what to do about the two.
Yeah, no. The problem is that if you have an atom that's referenced by two content items, then you would get 2 results from the database, but how do you know which one is the one being displayed?
Technically you cannot make a hierarchy of which one is.
This was the biggest problem I had with Scaled. We used it on a project and I hit my head on the wall with this.
But
creating ways of showing the back relationship.
Yeah, but for example, if you use a view, you can, once you have your relationship, you can get any field from your entity or node just by using the relationship in the view, and you can get all your data you want. When you have this idea.
When you write, I don't know how it's called. The widget thing in Scaled, it's called
a context. No.
When you define how it should be displayed.
Yeah, the context.
Context, okay. So when you write the context, you have no idea about the entity that's referencing it.
Yeah, that's true. But I think you should take a look at that module because Arte, the TV channel, they had to work on that, and they had to do a lot of work on back references So I guess it's mature enough to be a stepstone for your project.
Another problem I had was that when you have a field that contains multiple images, and you sometimes want to display them differently. For example, I had a use case where I want to display only the first image. So that's just the first reference, the delta zero reference. I couldn't find anything already built for this, I had to build this myself. Also, I had another situation where I had to build some sort of gallery where you would have the first image is a big one, and the rest are small, and they would change. And that also was a big challenge for me.
Okay. I think it's still in Scarl. When you choose your field, you say it's me enabled. You have drag and drop enabled. When you configure your field, you say it's drag and drop enabled, and there's this checkbox under which is MEE enabled. Have you ever seen it? And this MEE thing was written for a big media to manage the priority of the atoms you are drag and dropping into your node, into your feed. For example, let's say you have this article content type, node type. You have this main content field, which is Calde enabled, and then you drag and drop. One image, the second image, the third image into the text area. And under that you have a media manager, which allows you to say, okay, they are drag and drop, but I don't care about the order. I want to redefine the priority between the images to do some other stuffs in views or in the page. And then you can just reorder the media that were drag and dropped into your text area. And this is the MEE feature. But we do not show it because it scares you. It scares normal users. It was only used for big sites like France Info, which is a big radio. But that can solve your, I guess, your use case.
Basically, try to understand this. What I tell about is that, from my point of view, I present a lot of use cases about how you can get images into the system, but you are not presenting too much information about how you can give the images back, and how you can display them in some fancy ways. Because not always you have the option of just displaying everything in a stream. You have many times you have restrictions from the clients that want something to be done interactively, and then it's more cool.
And the context are very helpful for images also to achieve that. But the problem of context is that it's the expert part of Scald, and sometimes you can stumble on the concept. But if you have a use case, you can write to us or file an issue in the issue queue, and if we're not too busy, sometimes we're busy. We will get.
To write this myself.
Yeah, but if you need some help, we will be glad to help because.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Cédric, a question? I saw you raise.
No, just make a move to say how brief this is.
So thank you for attending this session, and I hope you discovered this model.